Welcome back to the North Shore of Oahu. You're watching the final stop of the Samsung Galaxy ASP World Championship Tour as we introduce our semifinals here for the Billabong Pipe Masters. Now, world champion Gabriel Medina, sealing the deal earlier today, takes on Josh Kerr, current number 11 in the world, to look for a spot into the final. Joe Chappelle alongside former world champ Martin Potter. Potts, we had a couple of waves ridden during the break.
Yeah, absolutely. Julian Wilson here taking off nice and deep here at back door, and that's exactly what he's been looking for. Tell you what, this kid's taken some gnarly wipeouts in the early rounds, and now he's finding some gold. Julian Wilson finding his feet. He needs a good result here to kickstart his 2015 campaign. It's been an up and down year for Julian, but finding his feet here at Pipe.
Well, it looks like he's a lot more comfortable now after that all-star performance he put down in Haleiwa, finishing runner-up to Dusty Payne. Now he's getting that winning feeling again, getting comfortable after a challenging year where he was actually faced with requalification coming into the Hawaiian leg of the tour. Now, Medina getting an opener. Nice positioning at Pipeline to come out. Now looking for the air. Tail high reverse on the finishing move. Then he ends up losing it, but starting off with momentum and taking the lead from Josh Kerr. Next wave for Wilson will position him just a little bit too deep, Potts.
Well, great way there for Gabriel Medina to kick things off in the semi-finals here. You know, I was quite surprised that he came in 15 or so minute celebration on the beach and then went back out and narrowly defeated Felipe Toledo, who kind of, I reckon, got lost in the moment, Joe. I thought he was sort of forgot about surfing his heat. Here's Medina on his opening wave there, driving up nice and high through that barrel. Little bonus section at the end there, and then goes for a beautiful air reverse. Lands tail first and just didn't quite pull that one around. So Gabriel Medina off to a great start. Kai Otno on the beach, and I think maybe broke a board.
Well, we'll see what happens with Kai Otten as he's on the sand. He's battling with Julian Wilson right now in this quarterfinal number 4. As Kai paddles out, let's hear from another semi-finalist down on the beach. Ace Buchan is down with Ronnie Blakey.
Thank you, Joe. Ace, a very, very solid result. You missed the Pipe Masters last year, and I think anytime you guys miss the Pipe Masters, it seems like an opportunity lost to claim that big one.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough last year sitting at home after surgery, kind of watching all the guys, especially the waves they had. But, you know, I'm just stoked to be a part of it this year, and it's such a great way to end the year. And, you know, obviously Gabe winning today was a huge highlight, but, you know, I got a few goals on myself, and I just want to keep getting barreled and having fun. What
about that matchup with Alejo, just the giant killer today, taking out both Gabriel's title contenders? Must have been a little bit of a worry with that momentum he was carrying into that heat.
Yeah, for sure. At this stage of the event, everyone's dangerous, so I was just trying to focus on myself and just get 2 good waves.
With these dual heat format, you don't have a lot of time to get ready, so we'll let you go and we'll throw it back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Ronnie. Ace Buchan matching his personal best results in pipe history as he looks to make his first final out here and maybe potentially taking a big win. You can see all that noise outside of the world title race that these guys have to deal with. You mentioned it with Felipe, where his entire country seems to be on the beach here celebrating Medina's title. Next thing you know, he goes down to Medina, who surfed half a heat. Same thing kind of goes for Ace. He knows there's a lot of hype going around him. He still wants to take this event out for his own personal goal.
Exactly. There's still the Pipe Masters on the line here, as well as the Triple Crown. Julian Wilson in the running for that. I think he's got to win here at Pipeline if he wants to leapfrog Dusty Payne. But it's a big ask. But he's been surfing good enough, and he's posted some big scores already: an 8.33 and a 7.33. Kai Otten in a combo situation with 9 minutes and 50 on the clock.
Well, we already see Medina also. This is his personal best result in his history at the Pipe Masters. Right now taking on a guy named Josh Kerr, who's kind of had his number, especially this season. We go back to a quarterfinal at Margaret River where Kersey took him out, and also Josh Kerr sending him out in the quarters in France more recently. Sometimes there's a certain competitor that seems to have you figured out. Would you make that statement with Josh Kerr's form against the now world champion?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, Kersey, you know, he rises to the occasion. I think he likes the big heats. I think, you know, when there's that pressure on, there's, you know, all the eyes are on him, he sort of performs at his best. So same thing as, you know, when he took Kelly down here in the semi-finals a couple of years ago and gave Joel Parkinson his world title. He likes those big moments. So when he gets the big guys, he actually steps up and performs at his best.
You can see how quick the turnaround is for all these guys on a massive finals day. 9:30 left in quarter 4. Kai right now is asking for an update of the situation, showing a little frustration now.
Yeah, they're asking each other what priority situation is, and they're giving it to Julian Wilson here at the moment. Kai Otten wondering why.
So now explaining to Kai that he lost priority by coming into the beach, and Otten not too happy with that call. Julian and Kai have a lot of history together. They've had some heavy heats. They even got awarded with the Heat of the Year a couple of years ago at Super Tubos in Portugal.
Yeah, that's an interesting situation. I didn't know that that was in the rule book. You know, if Kai got caught inside by a set and snapped his board, he didn't really actually paddle for a wave. Had to come in, but I think just the fact that he actually touched the beach gave priority to his opponent. So Julian Wilson in a pretty commanding position. Gabriel Medina starts his heat with a 5.
And through the inside, Medina just searching for a quick cover-up. That'll be his backup score now for the time being. You can see a little bit of a weight off the shoulders of Gabriel Medina now as he's crowned the world champion. Never seen such a celebration like we had a couple of rounds ago. As we look at this replay, is this score going to be effective in this heat?
Well, maybe. I mean, you look at how low scoring John's heat was.
Now without priority, Kai Otten trying to dig deep. And he's so deep on the inside, he ends up going down. Kai starting with 1 range scores, with Julian with a healthy total in first, 8.33. Julian's backup a 7.33. Julian's goal to make the semifinals for the first time in his career here at the Pipe Masters. We saw 1 breakthrough result for Julian this season. It was a semifinal finish way back at Bells Beach.
Yeah, I mean, that hit against Geordie was insane. I think he used all his brownie points up in that. But a semi-final there is good for Julian. You know, kind of a slippery slope there for the rest of the year, though.
Now Medina just continuing to take a look at the inside left here. We know that Kevin Wallace from Surfline told us that the buoys were looking solid. We had that swell peak actually last night, but he said it was going to be holding out throughout our finals as we see different options from the morning. A lot of backdoor and a lot of pipeline. Good to see scorers utilized on both sections as we have the Brazilian favorite son downstairs, Alejo Muniz with Ronnie Blakey.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. Alejo, obviously a bittersweet moment for you. You've had such an amazing day, a day that you will never forget in your career. You beat Kelly Slater, the greatest ever of all time, and especially the best surfer here competitively. Mick Fanning as well. You helped Gabriel win his world title, but at this stage you're off tour. How's it feel?
Yeah, it's a weird feeling, you know, because I was coming from such a great day, you know, and I cannot complain. I have to just say thanks, you know. I wish I could do it better in that last heat and made it one more to be on tour next year, because this is my dream, you know. This is what I dreamed when I was a little kid, to be here, and it's been amazing 4 years. I will come back. I will go to the QS and I will come back. I also did apply for the injury, so let's wait for that answer from ASP as well. But yeah, it was a roller coaster day today. It was amazing. I'm still really happy, you know. You always want to do better, but I'm still really happy with that.
We wish you the best of luck with the World Qualifying Series, and we'll wait to see what happens with that injury wildcard. Congratulations on an amazing day for yourself and Brazil.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. The Brazilian crew at home, you know, thank you. See you guys.
Back to you, Joe.
Thanks a lot, Ron. A big moment for Alejo Muniz. A challenging day for himself. He had a couple of the best heats of his life. After defeating Kelly Slater earlier this morning, he said he felt like he won the contest at that stage, but he had to continue to be tested by his competitors and pipeline. That's a tough place to be when you're waiting on your outcome to see if you'll get the call up for the tour next season.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, it's, you know, Alejo, as you said, a roller coaster day. You know, there's a couple of events he could have done a little better through the year. He had that injury, 2 events he took off. So, I mean, he's thrown his name in the hat for the wildcard next year, the injury wildcard, and he's just got to bide his time. If that happens, he's back on tour. If not, well, we know he's got the ability to go to the QS and requalify.
So an interesting scenario for Alejo Muniz as he was able to take out Mick Fanning, which led to the celebration of Gabriel Medina. As we head into the heat recap, as heat number 4, we saw Julian Wilson get started at backdoor, an 8.33 on his opener to take the lead.
Yeah, it's been all Julian Wilson. I mean, he's paid his dues with the wipeouts. This was his 7.33. Beautiful barrel there, comes flying out. So Julian Wilson, you know, as I said before, he took some heavy wipeouts earlier in the piece. He's come back, he's got some great waves and is in a really commanding position.
Well, Julian Wilson making it look easy to pick the right waves at the moment. The last couple of heats have been a little low scoring, but now back to some high totals, 15.66 combined total, as we take a look at the replay of what happened during that recap.
Yeah, Julian just shooting for the back door, traveling through that one there, almost comes out. Yes, he does. Wow, I'll have a look at that. Another great wave there for Julian Wilson, trying to back up for that 8.33. His second highest score, 7.33. So Julian Wilson on a bit of a tear here, having a bit of fun. And I tell you what, sometimes when you find yourself in the zone, you're not really using too much energy. He's making all his waves. He's paddling straight back out. He's not getting caught inside. Days like this, you could surf all day.
It's amazing when you see legends of the sport talk about that feeling they get when things actually start slowing down. We heard from guys like Jerry Lopez in the past, where even how heavy this wave is, things would actually look like slow motion for him, be able to read all the sections ahead of time, and almost like he was able to control his destiny and make it out of challenging tubes. Potts, can you relate to that feeling, especially when you were dominating the tour?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, Sean Thompson said it really well. It's in a Free Ride movie where he was talking about the tube ride, and he said sometimes when you're in the zone, he says that you almost feel like you're controlling the wave, and he said sometimes you are. You know, you're in such a in that zone where, you know, you're putting yourself in the right position. You can get as deep as you want. Foam ball, you know, you're riding over that foam ball and getting yourself right through the barrel. Julian Wilson just did that at 9.50, so he's in the zone right now, and he knows exactly what he needs to do. He knows exactly what kind of waves he's looking for, and this is it right here. You can see him driving through the barrel, pumps again, gets himself nice and high, and comes out beautifully and clean. So perfect positioning, timing, and wave selection for Julian Wilson there, extending his two-wave total and putting Kai Otney in a serious combo situation.
As we see a TP entering the lineup here in the semifinal 1 and quarterfinal 4. Member quarter 4 has priority if they want to take a look first. Kai currently comboed, will take off deep at back door. He goes straight down and unable to capitalize on that moment. It was a critical exchange for Kai Otney because he has 140 remaining.
Yeah, Kai Otney, we knew he was going to go on that. I actually thought he maybe should have gone the left at pipe, because he left that open and Josh Kerr took off on it and got spat out of the barrel. So maybe a little bit of a mistake there. We see on the other side of the peak here as Josh Kerr slides into the barrel, nice and deep there. Perfect positioning from Kersey, and answers back to Gabriel Medina's 5.50. That's going to be a good score.
So Josh Kerr in the first semifinal. He's made a final here in the past, looking to battle against Medina again for the 3rd time this season. Even in 2013, Josh Kerr was able to eliminate Gabriel Medina. Their first matchup a couple of years ago, back in 2012, is Medina's only win over Josh Kerr. A few matchups, few and far between, even if they've only had 4 or 5 matchups previously over the years, Potts. Do they still remember those moments on how to compete against each other?
Absolutely right. I mean, you beat someone enough, you know how to beat them, and that person that you beat kind of dreads when they see your name next to theirs. You know, it's that confidence thing. It's that thing, and like you said, when you have someone's number, they've got to really surf out of their skin, which they feel like they've got to do to beat you, and you kind of paddle out with that extra bit of confidence straight off the bat that you've got them. Kersey, an 8.33, puts himself in the lead right now. So Gabriel Medina with 2 waves, a 5.5 and a 1.5, finds himself looking for another score.
So interesting moment as we look at 10 seconds on the clock. Kai went down at back door and looks like he's running out of time. He had a solid run at the last stop, making the semifinals. And this one, he ends up just short. A quarterfinal finish to finish off the year. Julian Wilson, with his personal best ever, moves on to the semifinals. We'll take a break. We'll be back in Hawaii right after this.
Here we go. Julian Wilson, back door. Riding and coming out.
We were going out in the ocean since our mom first brought us in when we were babies. And then as soon as we could like really walk, we were going down there by ourselves and playing in the ocean, playing in the shore break. And then as we got bigger, we played in bigger and bigger shore break, and it was just fun, like just something we did every day. And we weren't even thinking about like training ourselves for like surfing bigger, heavier drops. It was just, that's what we had fun doing.
we look at the world water crisis, it's overwhelming. It's not about going out there and trying to save the world. It's about going out there and doing your part. And nobody said you couldn't have fun while you're helping people.
Welcome back to the semifinals here at the Billabong Pipe Masters, one that Gabriel Medina will never forget as he is able to clinch his world title as we move on to the semifinal series featuring two amazing Australians, Ace Buck and Julian Wilson, going head-to-head for a chance to move on to the final. During the break, we had another wave ridden from Medina.
Yeah, look at this thing here as it drops down, driving through the section, dragging both his hands there. Medina, is he going to come out? Yes, he does. Gabriel Medina starting to feel it here. And I tell you what, he's got a contest to win. And we saw Joel Parkinson do exactly that once he was crowned the world champion. He went on to win the Pipe Masters and really stamp his authority. I think Medina's got to do the same thing. It's going to give that world title just that extra bit of spice. But he's got Josh Kerr standing in his way at the moment with a single high score of an 8.33. That wave from Medina is going to rival that score.
So a huge start for Josh Kerr, getting the 8.33, and now Medina starting to build. A 2.84 better puts him in the lead. We'll see that lead change as the clock just getting started for Julian Wilson and Ace Bucket in this second semifinal. You can see how quickly Julian had to come around and come back to compete. What's a big difference, Spots, when these guys free surf for 6 hours in a day, looking for video clips and just practicing, compared to surfing about 6 heats with a jersey on?
Well, I think 6 heats at 30 minutes a pop. You're looking at 3 hours of competitive surfing, which probably equates to about 8 hours of free surfing. You know, when you're free surfing, you're relaxed, there's no pressure, you're taking your time, you're picking your waves. When you're in a heat situation, your mind's ticking over, your adrenaline's pumping, you're using every ounce of your energy, you know, your mental as well as your physical. It really does take it out of you. So, you know, these guys obviously got to conserve, do what you've got to do to win your heats, and try and leave a little bit in the tank, you know. So that's what it's going to come down to. The end of this day is going to be the guy that has saved a bit for later and peaks at the right time.
Well, now with a little bit of time on the clock for Medina, still waiting on his last score to come through to see if he can take out Josh Kerr. We have big wave world champ Pete Mel in the lineup now for a condition update. Welcome back to the channel, Pete. How's it looking?
Well, thank you very much, Joe. And of course, I had to get wet, right, and really get into the action here. And of course, that's the semifinal action, right? And you know, the conditions have been holding true. We've got still a bunch of rip on the sand here, and you know what? The boys have made do with the lefts. I mean, there's been probably just as many lefts being scored as there is rights, and that's the kind of action we want to see. And I just hope, cross my fingers, that we can see a few more sets to finish this one out, huh?
Yeah, Pete, does it feel like it's slowing down a little bit out there?
Yeah, no, we saw it. I mean, from watching on there, I just got out here. You know, we'll check back a little bit, but the energy in the ocean is definitely solemn. It's not definitely pumping by any means, but you know what? Let's just cross our fingers that we have another hour and a half of surf.
Well, Pete, we see all that sand on the inside of gums. How's that playing a role towards the last couple of heats? Has that changed at all throughout the day?
Well, for me, I kind of like it because these guys are coming out of the barrel and then they're using it as a ramp. So yeah, I'd like to see more of that.
Thanks a lot, Pete. We'll be checking in with you in a moment as he's looking to stay dry. He's been working hard in the channel, a lot of the major events this season, and keeping a nice eye on this 4-pack at the moment. Overlapping heats, we can get through a lot of competition. Today, it's been all about Gabriel Medina accomplishing his ultimate goal of being the first Brazilian world champion at just 20 years of age. He's got a birthday coming up in a few days from now to turn 21. He was able to match Kelly at 20 to take that coveted world title. He sees all the records that Kelly made, and he wants to break all of those in his career.
Yeah, he does. I think Kelly won maybe 5 events that year. He won the world title. Gabriel Medina so far with 3. This could be number 4 if he goes all the way. 8.10 on that last wave from Gabriel Medina. So Josh Kerr now in second, needing a 5.27. Ace Buchan and Julian Wilson still waiting to start their semi-final.
Will Potts, we talked about the legendary Hawaiians that dominated the Pipe Masters with the most champions of all time. When you look at our draw now, you see 3 Australians still running to try to take the Pipe Masters this season. When you think about the all-time list of Pipe Masters champs, who are the heaviest Aussies that really left a big impression on this wave?
Yeah, obviously, you know, you got to go way back. Larry Blair was probably the first guy to come out of Australia and really stamp his authority on this event. He took back-to-back wins in 78 and 79, and then Mark Occhilupo, that was a sort of a semi-surprise as a young kid. Came out there not really knowing the severity of pipeline and winning that. That was amazing. I was on the beach that day. Obviously, Gary Elkinen has won a World Pipe Masters, but to me, one of the most dominant surfers out here in basically in my sort of time is Tom Carroll. Tom Carroll pretty much played with this wave. He surfed it like it was a beach break. We saw a taste of that in the Heritage Heat. He turned back the clock and showed that he's got such an affinity with this wave, something that, you know, I reckon will go down in history.
Well, you saw that win for Tom Carroll. That meant a lot for a lot of the guys on tour, especially the Australian surfers that have looked up to the two-time world champion. A special Heritage Heat win with that big 9.6 to start. As we look at semifinal number 1 on how this one got underway in the Heat recap, we had Gabriel Medina start getting his momentum going on his forehand. Started with a 5.5 and then improved to an 8.10.
Yeah, beautiful positioning there for Medina. Had he stuck that one, I think that would have gone up a little higher. Josh Kerr, have a look at this though. Look at the talent this kid's got. Sliding in there on his backhand. He's been shooting the back door all day and just showed the judges that he can go either way here and make it work. Medina on a bit of a set wave here. Watch this driving as he drags both his hands, maximizing his time behind the curtain there. Nothing to prove right now and everything to gain. He's already our new world champion here in 2014. Can he go all the way and be the pipe master on top of it?
Well, it's so special to see big performances like this from young surfers that have a lot of hype throughout their junior career. Medina, winning King of the Groms way back in the day, put his name on the map. Qualified at 17 at the midseason rotation and took 2 wins at the back half of the year. One in France and one in San Francisco over Joel Parkinson. He ended up losing to John Florence in the Rookie of the Year race over the overall rankings the following year. Due to a couple of injuries, the world title campaign was held off for those first couple of seasons until now, as he sealed the deal. There's now 7 minutes on the clock in his heat. We'll see the rest of the boys let that last wave go through. What do you think the big breakthrough for Medina was in this season when you look back, Buds?
I think the first event, obviously. I mean, that's what kickstarts you. You know, I know for a fact that you get the ball rolling early, you get that good result under your belt, you get that confidence flowing straight away. Medina did that, you know, and he did it all by using that backhand attack. He didn't even go to the air once, which is his strength. He relied on his rail game that he's been working really hard on. He's been working hard on his boards as well. You can tell his equipment this year has really dealt with the conditions that he's been in. They basically haven't faltered, and he's found himself in a good position here at the end of the year. So I think that really first event on the tour at the Quicksilver Pro on the Goldie was definitely a good kickstart to his year.
Well, and Ronnie Blakey downstairs was reminding him he had a lot of firsts this year for Brazil. First to win at Snapper, first to win Fiji, first to win Tahiti. And now you look at the list at the Pipe Masters. Will there be another first before we close out this year for Gabriel Medina? Right now, still with the lead. Josh Kerr needs a small score as we look at semifinal number 2. Julian Wilson trying to force it at backdoor.
Yeah, Julian's just trying to get that ball rolling again, trying to find that same mojo that he was had in quarterfinals. He basically, I don't think he even came into the beach. I think it was pretty much just stay out in the water and keep surfing. That's what he's got to do. Julian's, he's a fit guy. He's young, so he can handle this.
Well, right now, Julian's just returning to the form that we remember him throwing down in his Rookie of the Year campaign when he's always finished in the top 10. This is the first season where he wasn't in that top 10 pack due to some early exits at waves. You expected him to do well. A lot of people remind Julian that he can be a world champion someday. As we now look down the beach, here goes Julian, finding a small wave at backdoor. Makes the exit, frontside alley-oop, and he'll let go.
Yeah, you see, this is the kind of thing that Julian does. He builds that momentum, obviously not making the wave before. On the way back out, snuck in a little barrel at backdoor. That's going to get the ball rolling for him. It's going to put him in a good position. You can see here taking off, dragging. Now he pumps, pulls up under the curtain there. Not a deep one, not a big one, but a good one nonetheless. As
you see him just fly away on the inside corner. Wilson getting his best score so far over Ace without priority in the lineup right now as we hit the 5-minute warning with Josh Kerr and Medina. Kersey's in that talk where he's waiting for his first WCT win of all time. He came so close here, and he has that bet going with his wife. If he does win a CT event, they're going to start growing their family a little bit further. His wife, Nikki, is always by his side and a big supporter in his career, and Josh wants to succeed in that. It's great to see him show up at the final event in fine form, Potts.
Yep, he's in good form, that's for sure, and he's got the single highest score right now. And with this split format, an 8.5, a 9, and a 7.5 from the judges. So Instead of averaging out your scores, you count all three. 8.33 was the average on that one.
Now we see our world champ, Medina, deep on that last wave of Pipeline. And as that one won't factor in, we can see those smaller conditions. Pete Mel saying you can see it kind of trending a little bit inconsistent now through these last couple of heats of the day. Does your game plan change with the size decrease, Spots?
Well, I think, you know, when it gets a little bit more inconsistent, you've got to have priority.
Now a late takeoff, and controlling it is Josh Kerr. Roller coaster off the bottom, and he ends up going down. Remember, he had the big start, the 8.33, as he's been waiting to back it up for a long time now. Next wave, locking in is Ace Buchan. Nice and deep on the positioning on the takeoff, and inside section doesn't have any room for the exit.
Yeah, that was a tough barrel to make, that one. Kind of crumbled a little bit as well. Josh Kerr's very similar, and both guys wearing that next one on the head. So this place makes you pay when you make mistakes, that's for sure. Both guys getting swatted down, but it's, you know, that's the thing out here, as you were talking about before, Joe. When it gets a little bit, you know, more inconsistent, there's fewer good ones coming through. Priority at the right time is so crucial.
2:50 remaining. As you can see, the Brazilians on hand on the beach. The flags were waving proudly moments ago, and they're still celebrating this moment for Gabriel. He came in early with the start of his heat with a quarterfinal with Felipe Toledo. Due to small scores, he was able to get back in the water to come back to take the win after spending the first half of that heat dealing with post-heat interviews. And he has a little bit extra pep in his step now. Potts, he's always been kind of turning away from the questions of pressure, but it looks like he's surfing a little bit lighter in this heat.
He is, absolutely. There's definitely that weight, that target that he's been had on his back for pretty much all year. You know, the weight of the world, literally watching, anticipating the pressures of trying to succeed for Brazil. Their football team didn't do that good this year, so the pressure was on Gabriel to try and, you know, do something good for Brazil this year, which he's done. So, you know, this day's going to go down in history, that's for sure. And it's basically what it is, Joe. It's a combination of all those years the Brazilians were on tour, all the way back to my day, you know, even before with the Daniel Friedmans and, you know, the guys that were battling on tour all those years, the Fabio Gouvea's and the Neko Pataratzes. That's, you know, this is for them. This is something that, that's why I reckon there was so much emotion on the beach today, was that it's just you know, 3 or 4 decades of Brazilians trying to pull this off, and they finally have.
Oh, so impressive to look at that long lineage of Brazilian pro surfers that would come here, and some of them doing quite well. Pepe Lopes and a lot of the crew learned how to pack the barrel here at Pipeline to make the final series in the past, as they now celebrate their first world champ. And will they get our Pipe Masters champ on the very same day as we enter the final minute? Josh Kerr sitting out the back under priority, needs a 5.27. You can see Medina positioned to try to hold Josh Kerr off a wave. Kersey doesn't look like he's going to move his position, Potts.
No, he's just going to sit patiently. I mean, semi-final result for him, it's pretty good, but he wants to try and go one better. A little bit of a wave approach in the lineup right now with 45 seconds to go. Can Kersey sneak something underneath Medina and try and pull a win out?
Well, we'll see what happens for Kersey now. Under a little bit of pressure, he might just have one last chance. The thing that Kersey's hoping for under priority is that there's a multiple wave set to force Medina to make a decision with priority, as he's starting to run out of time. He's off his board and starting to pace himself underneath Medina now.
Yeah, it's, you can see him trying to move around the lineup, trying to find a little bit of space. There's a little wave approaching right now, and it looks like we're just underneath the 10-second mark. Kersey having a look right now. Medina with priority. Is Medina going to take it? Yes, he does.
Into the countdown, Medina getting up a little after the horn. It's not going to matter. This wave won't count. He'll just carve it off the top for a finish as our world champion makes it into the final. We'll take a break. We'll be back at Pipeline after this.